For this example, I want to show how we can use StatCrunch to its fullest so that we can quickly get as many values and graphs and things as we can. Because as you can see, this is a multiple part question and it has a ton of things to input. So definitely using technology is going to help here. We're given a set of data over here to the side, which I've already opened that up inside StatCrunch here. And in that data, let me come back to it, we've got two columns. One is representing the rates of return for financial stocks, and the other column was representing rates of return for retail stocks. We're asked to construct a relative frequency distribution for each industry, and we're going to make the first lower class limit -20, and we want to make the class width 20. Okay, so we're going to keep that in mind. We're going to go through and do this for both the financial stocks and the retail stock. So back to StatCrunch. To get this information, we're going to go to Stat, Tables, and Frequency. Once we're here, we'll select financial stocks. We really only want the relative frequency, so I'm just going to select that one. And what's also really important here is to input the specific bin values that we were given. We were told to start at -20 and to have a class width of 20. Okay, so we'll compute. You can see here that's how we can quickly grab these relative frequencies and input them as we need to for part A. Use your keyboard shortcuts here as well. Most keyboards, it's either, I believe, Control C to copy and then Control V to paste. That's just one less way to introduce any possible error as you're doing all this, because it's a ton of numbers, as you can see here, that you're going to input. So we'll do that again for the second part of part A. We'll find the relative frequency distribution for the retail stocks. So we come back to Stat, Tables, Frequency, but this time we're going to select retail stocks, relative frequency, and we want to start our bins at -20 and make the width 20 and compute. So this next table is what we see for the relative frequency distribution for the retail stocks. Again, copy, paste those values in here. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit further. You're asked then to create some histograms for each, and both of these are relative frequency histograms. So let me come back to Graph, Histogram. We'll do one of these for the financial stocks. Don't forget to change the type to relative frequency. And also don't forget to input the bin values that we were given. Remember, we're starting the bins at -20 and the width is 20. We'll click Compute, and this is the graph that we're looking for in particular. So let me move my slide over here just a little bit. And of the choices, hopefully it's pretty clear to see that choice A is the only reasonable choice. But if by chance, if one of these were really close to choice A and you need more detail, you can always pop up this window to see more detail or even zoom in to see it a little bit better. We'll do the same thing for relative frequency histogram of the retail stocks. So coming back to StatCrunch, I'll go to Graph, Histogram, Retail stocks, relative frequency, starting at -20 with a width of 20. Okay, so this time I'm looking for this particular shape. And I have the same scenario where of my choices, B is the only one that looks close. So I'll go ahead and I would select that one. And then for part C, we're asked to construct a relative frequency polygon for each of the two industries. So let me come back to our graph here. Let's see if I can slide that in just a little bit. So this one was for financial stocks. We see that here at the bottom. And the relative frequency polygon is going to look at the midpoints that would be on each class width and connect those with a line segment. Okay, so to do that, just need to rearrange my screen so I could see a little bit more. I could imagine these midpoints kind of lying up here and on top of each bin. But let me draw that midpoint. Okay, so imagine like this midpoint here, a midpoint here, and so forth and so on. Right in the middle at the top of each bin. These get connected with straight line segments. Just imagine that's straight. And they also get extended to the x-axis on either end. So like this last one, it should go down to the x-axis on this side. That's that relative frequency polygon. So something like this. We already knew the shape of the relative frequency distribution from part, I'm going to have to turn this off for just a second, but from part A, we already knew that shape. We've got it right here as well. So when we're looking at the different possible graphs, I hope that it's pretty clear to see there's some that we can immediately eliminate. Like A looks nothing like the shape that we see. C does not look anything like the shape that we see. You might think, what about choice B? But if we open this up in a new window, now we see, okay, no, there's not a drop down to nothing here at the midpoint of 150 on this particular graph. So I'm not sure that we would need a ton of detail to pick the best choice, but if you do need it, that's what you're doing. You're imagining connecting these bins like so. This would be for the next one. To the midpoint. And then don't forget here at the very end and at the very beginning, connect back to the x-axis, like so. So again, look at the different options. The only thing even close is choice C.